Becky here for a reading vlog. I'm going to be reading A Little Life for the Buzzwordathon of little. I think it's little, big, tall, small, those kind of words. So, Little Life. It's over 800 pages long, and so I'm starting today, April 1st, and we'll see how far I can get today. Am I in frame?
Yeah. You're not like right in the middle. Well, like that.
There you go. Jasper pooped. I can smell it.
Angle it up because you're cutting off your head. Right there.
There you go. So I've heard some pretty crazy things about this. Well, he's poopy.
I'm poopy too.
So I've heard some crazy things about this, about it being like really sad and stuff like that. So we'll see how I feel about it. Anyways, usually like I can read sad books or whatever, and some of them will affect me, and some books will make me cry and stuff like that. So we'll see how this goes. I've been in a bit of a reading slump lately, so hopefully this is a good one. I figured I would vlog it since everyone on YouTube seems to have read this one and loved it. So we'll see. A Little Life follows four college classmates, broke, adrift, and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition, as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, deepen over the decades, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant, enigmatic Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma, a hymn to brotherly bonds, and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. Hanya Yanagira's stunning novel is about the families we are born into and those that we make for ourselves. Happy Sunday, April 3rd. I am 60 pages into A Little Life. I need to read about another 20-ish pages or so. Hopefully today, this chapter, I'm on page 64 and this chapter ends at page 75. So I want to at least get to there. And then the next chapter goes to page 93. And then we're on to like the second part of it. So maybe I can get up to page 93 today. Anyways, that would be good. Not much has really happened so far. I'm only 64 pages into like an over 800 page book. There's four main characters. Keeping track of like who's who. They're all like artists in their own way. The one guy, I think he's doing painting now, but sometimes he does like sculpting and stuff. And the one guy's an actor, I know that. I did highlight this one. So on page 18, one of the kids is talking about JB. It's talking about his family. And he said, their faith in him, in his ultimate triumph, remained unwavering, almost disconcertingly so. They were convinced, even as his own conviction was tested so many times, that it was becoming difficult to self-generate it, that he would someday be an important artist, that his work would hang in major museums, that the people who hadn't yet given him his chances didn't properly appreciate his gift. JB is like very arrogant and kind of believes like anything good that happens to him, he deserves it. He's getting what he deserves when it's on the good side of things. He's definitely very arrogant, and his family's all like, you're amazing, and he's like, yeah, I am. But I wrote like, that's a very hard thing. This is a lot of pressure on a person, like when your family just thinks like you're amazing, or you're like the first one to go to college, you're following dreams that like your parents or somebody in the family had wanted to do, like being an artist or whatever. It's so much pressure on somebody when you're doing that, and you're putting all that pressure on your kid or your grandkid or whatever. That's really hard to live up to, or people are like always comparing you to somebody else in the family. I know what that's like. It's just really stressful, and you're like, I'm never gonna live up to this image that you have of this person, or this image of who you think I can be, and being put up onto a pedestal and stuff like that is really hard. So it's hard as a parent. You kind of think your kids are amazing. They're so beautiful, they're so talented, they're so whatever, insert some kind of awesome thing here. The truth is that, you know, most of us are average. Even if your kids are like exceptionally good looking or talented or whatever, like we still need to teach our kids humility and stuff. And being humble doesn't mean you say like, oh, I'm bad at this. You can be like the world's best pianist, but you're not like, yeah, I'm so amazing, I'm so great. You like, for us, for Christians, we thank God for that talent. Or like, God made me this way. God created me to be this way to bring him honor and glory. It's not saying like I'm bad. It's just giving credit where credit's due, basically. So like, yeah, I am a good artist, or I am a good actor, or I am a good cook, or whatever the case may be. But you're saying, yeah, I was given this talent or whatever. We need to teach our kids humility and not just be thinking like, I'm great and I'm the center of the universe, because they may be the center of your universe, but they're not going to be the center of when they go out into the world. But yeah, it's really hard to be like on that pedestal as everyone thinks in your family, like you're doing all these great things, so everyone expects that of you, or they're comparing you to somebody in the family who everyone thought was so great and amazing, and you're just not living up to those expectations, which is more how I feel sometimes. It's annoying and it's hard, and it's like, look, I'm not that person. I am who I am. Can you like me, love me, appreciate me, accept me for who I am and who I am made to be? If there's somebody in your life that's like putting this pressure on you and stuff, there's nothing you can do. Just be who you are and be the best version of yourself. And then I also wrote, because this JB guy, like I said, is an artist and he's doing painting and he's feeling really passionate about this one project. And I love stories about people discovering and chasing their passions. And lately I've been feeling like I don't have anything in my life that I am passionate about. I especially love when people are passionate about something like music or art or like singing, a musical instrument or singing. You just see them creating. You see them on the piano and singing their hearts out. You see them drawing or painting or sculpting or whatever, and they're just creating this beautiful art. They're so passionate about it, and it can be like in writing and stuff too. When you read some people's work, you can tell they're putting their heart and their soul into this story, and I love seeing that, and it really comes through when somebody's being really passionate about something. And I just feel like I have no passion in my life in that regard. I do enjoy creating things through crochet and cross stitch and things like that. I'm not an artist in the sense of like my own making up my own drawings or paintings or anything like that. Like cross stitch, I'm following a pattern. Crochet, I'm following a pattern, stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, of course, but like I just feel like I'm not an artist in that way, definitely. Like I just don't feel like I have any passion in my life, anything to like sing from the rooftops about. And when I like first became a Christian, of course, like that was something I was passionate about, and that's been hard for me because I feel like no one in my family or in my life cares. No one has become a Christian since I became a Christian, and apparently I'm a very bad evangelical is not the word. Evangelist. I'm a very bad evangelist, apparently. But at the beginning of like a relationship, when you're so in love with somebody, like a person, all you want to do is talk about them and talk about how great they are and stuff like that, and then things kind of slow down, and that happens in our faith too. And we need to build up that passion and keep that spark alive. We have to be respectful of other people's faiths and where they are in life and their views and stuff like that. Like not everyone wants to hear you praising God all the time, right? And we have to share our faith, but also be respectful of where other people are at and what they want to hear. I think like my passion has gone down in that regard quite a lot, and that is definitely something I need to work on. But yeah, like anything else, like with baking or cooking, like I've lost all interest in cooking and baking because, well, baking, my kids are like, yay, cookies or cake or whatever dessert things. But like with cooking, it's just, my one daughter's like, I don't like hot dogs. I don't like hamburgers. I don't like pasta. I don't like she doesn't like anything. She likes salads, like that's it. She likes pogos, which if you're American, those are corn dogs. We call them pogos here, like that's just like the name brand kind of thing. She likes wow butter and jam sandwiches. My oldest daughter's getting better at it, and even my middle daughter is better at like eating fruits and fruits fine, but vegetables. But my son is like, ew, vegetables, blah. Everything is like disgusting. So like I hate cooking like casseroles or just anything besides like chicken and rice, because he'll eat spaghetti, but my one daughter gets sick and doesn't like spaghetti and whatever, and he'll eat mac and cheese, and it's more getting them all to eat the same food. So I've lost like all desire to cook because it's just impossible. Either it's something unhealthy and they all like it and that's great and I'm praised for being an amazing cook, or it's something that like my one daughter's like, it's not great, but I'll eat it anyways, and then the other one's like, it's disgusting and refuses to eat, and it's just a hassle. And like I don't want to fight every single day to get them to eat. It's one thing to say like, this is what mom cooked, eat it or go hungry, but just doing that every single day and just having them complain all the time really sucks the joy out of cooking and making food. So I don't have any passion there. I don't have any passion with drawing or coloring or writing. I'm not talented in those ways either. But like, I don't know. I don't know where to sit or what angle to do. But I don't know. I need something in my life, I guess, some passion. It's really hard to read this, to hold this and breastfeed a baby. I need an e-version of this book, I guess. Then I also highlighted, he is an aspiring actor. And his thing is, but these were days of self-fulfillment, where settling for something that was not quite your first choice of a life seemed weak-willed and ignoble. Somewhere, surrendering to what seemed to be your fate had changed from being dignified to being a sign of your own cowardice. There were times when the pressure to achieve happiness felt almost oppressive, as if happiness were something that everyone should and could attain, and that any sort of compromise in its pursuit was somehow your fault. So I thought that was really interesting, because you know what? Sometimes life is just life, and you can't just be pursuing happiness all the time. Like, happiness is from your happenings and good things. Like, we were happy today at the hill because it was fun, or whatever, right? Like, the kids are hopefully happy out there playing. It looks like all three of them are on the swings with their father. So, like, that's happy, but not everything is happy all the time. Sometimes you have bad days. Sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes you're just didn't get enough sleep and you're just in a bad mood. Like, whatever the case may be. You can't just be happy all the time. I just thought that was interesting. Like, sometimes people think if you've settled in life, you're giving up kind of thing. But sometimes, you know, life is just good and you like it and you're not running to achieve like these big lofty goals, right? Like, everyone talks about being an entrepreneur and being a lady boss. I'm a woman boss. I'm a lady boss. And I'm like, I don't want to be a boss. I just want to, like, I'm a stay-at-home mom right now, but if I'm not working, I just want to go to work and have you tell me what time to work, what to do at my job kind of thing. I understand, like, the whole making your own hours and stuff like that, but usually having your own business means you're working all the time and you never get a break, and you have a huge headache on your shoulders as the owner of a business, especially when you're like an independent business and you don't have like a big company ahead of you. Like, Walmart here has like corporate that they can go to, where a small local business, it's just them. And when there's things like worldwide pandemics shutting everything down, you don't have somebody to give you money. Like, you're reliant on your customers and stuff like that. So owning your own business, especially like a brick and mortar business, is hard and it's stressful and it's a lot. And I do think about what business I would own if I had a business like that, which would be like a coffee shop / bookstore, like a used bookstore kind of thing, / a board game place, which in Edmonton they have these board game cafes. So you pay a fee and you get, I think you get a drink, and then if you want to eat or whatever, you'd have to pay more, but you'd pay like a cover charge basically, and then they just have like walls of board games, and then you can play whatever board game you want. That I think would be really cool to have here in town. Yeah, like, that's a lot of work. Or if you own like one of those from your house businesses, which there's a lot of that going around here too, that's really popular. Like, you're constantly hustling all the time and getting word out there, and it's a lot of work, and I don't want to do that work. I don't have that motivation. But I'm always seeing things like, and feeling, it can leave you feeling guilty if you're not motivated to do those things. And the reality is most people aren't and are not their own boss, and that's okay. It's okay. If that's your dream, go for it. But that's not everyone's reality or everyone's dream, to be their own boss or whatever. But I feel like just lately, that's all it's been. Like, if you're not running to be your own boss, then you're somehow like failing in life or something like that. Like, that's how it feels when you're out there on social media and stuff like that. So I thought that quote was really interesting and just something to ponder. Anyways, the sun is in a terrible spot. It's like 5 p.m. or something. No, it's past 5 p.m. now. It's 6 p.m. now, so church is in half an hour. And the sun is out and it's shining at 6 and not set by 4. So, yay, so happy for these warmer days and spring. But yeah, that's how my reading's going for now. My son was holding my other son the other day and said, "If babies never bath, how come they smell so good?" And I said, you know what? I don't know how they smell so good. He does bath though, just my son doesn't see it very often, and he'd had a bath like the night before. We don't bath our babies like every single night. It's not good for their skin, but oh, just look at those little baby snuggles. So I'm on track with my A Little Life reading. I was behind, but I was able to catch up, so that's good. I'm on page 294, and I'm just about to hit chapter 3 of that part. So I'm hoping to get to, it goes to 340, it looks like. 320, and then it goes on to part 4. So hopefully I'll be able to finish part 3 today, because that's only another 25 pages. I'm enjoying it so far. There has been some very sad stuff. Obviously, if you haven't read this, look up trigger warnings. I'd say the biggest trigger warning is abuse, physical, sexual. It is there at the hands of those within the church and just living like in like a home for children. So definitely look up trigger warnings for that. Yeah, very, very, very sad, obviously. The reading's going well, and it's not like a difficult read. It's fairly... The subject matter is difficult at times to read, but it's not too smart for me to read, I guess. It's accessible and well written and easy to read that way. So I am enjoying that. Little baby's had a couple of days where he won't let me do anything. I couldn't even go to the bathroom. He was screaming his head off, and he's only sleeping when he's on me, so that gives me time for reading. But I've also been listening to The Love Hypothesis as an audiobook while playing some of my Animal Crossing. Put apart, like, I just want to hug the little boy inside of Jude. It's not your fault. You are worthy. That's just what I want to tell him. And anyone who has suffered abuse, that is not something I have dealt with in my life. So I can't speak to it from a personal experience, but you are worthy and it's not your fault. I don't want to give away spoilers about how Jude came to be in these situations, but just that whatever situation you find yourself in as a child, it's not your fault. There's nothing that you did to be put through abuse or anything like that. Whether you are in a foster care situation because your parents simply couldn't take care of you, because they have passed on, or whatever the situation is, there's no reason for you to experience abuse at the hands of your caregivers. And it's just so tragic and so sad that that is something that is still going on to this day. And I just want to hug these little kids and tell them, like, you are loved, you are worthy, and it's okay. And I just want to get them out of those horrible situations, because the situations they are in are not okay. And just the stuff that Jude has to deal with as an adult because of the abuse he went through as a kid is just, like, it's just sad. And I can relate to that part of, like, your thinking where everyone else can tell you, like, you are good enough, you are worthy. People tell you this all the time, but you have these things stuck in your head that are negative and are a lie from the enemy. They're just straight up lies, but it's so much easier to believe the lies for some reason than the truths. And we really need to listen to our friends and our family and those who know us the best when they are telling us things like, you're worthy, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're creative, whatever it is that you want to be, that they are telling you that you are. Just believe that. That's it for now. I gotta get up and put down baby, who's not going to be happy, and I'm just enjoying his good baby smells and sweet baby cuddles. But I gotta put him down and cook something because it's already like 5:15, and I have 4 other kids I need to feed right now, so... So I am on page 575 of A Little Life. I am enjoying it as much as you can enjoy a book like this. I knew it was going to be a very heavy book, and there is a lot of trigger warnings for abuse of every possible kind, and self-harm, especially cutting. On page, very descriptive. The one thing I don't like about this book, and it's not about the story or necessarily like the writing style, it's very long chapters and stuff. There's different sections of the book, like part 1, 2, 3, and each one has like 3 chapters in it. But the chapters can be like 70, 80, 90 pages long. But you know how sometimes in books they'll have a bit of a chapter break. Like they will have so many paragraphs or whatever, and then there will be a break, and then the next paragraph. Usually some time has passed, or it's just like a natural pause in the story without it being necessarily a new chapter. In this book, it's just like a line. I'm trying to find one. But it can be like 40 pages before you have like a natural break inside the chapter. So that's really annoying because like it's not a book you can just pick up, read a couple pages, or read for 5 minutes and then move on. Put it down, pick it up, put it down kind of thing. As a mom of 4 kids and a nursing baby, I very much read like that. Like I don't have dedicated times necessarily. Like I might have a half an hour, even an hour to read, but I'm exhausted. So like 2 minutes in, I'm like falling asleep anyways. When I do have longer periods of time that I can read like this here. Let's see if I can show it. You can see at the top, there's that little bit of writing and then that kind of dash in the space. So that doesn't happen very often. So it is hard to stay engaged in the story, because I do have to pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down kind of thing. So that's my only real complaint about it. And again, has nothing to do with the writing or the story or anything. It's just kind of the formatting, I guess. A little bit of the story because there's no natural breaks, but I am enjoying it as far as one of these books can be enjoyed. And the content is very difficult, but the writing isn't so descriptive or filled with big giant words that I have to look up like every other word kind of thing. It's very easy to read in that way. So I'm enjoying that. And like, I'm 575 pages into 813 pages. So like, it's gone pretty quickly. Today is April 21st and I need to read 27 pages a day to keep up with it. So some days I've read more, some days I've read less. But I'm hoping to finish this before the 27th, because then I want to do the spring ween. It's not the spring ween-a-thon, but it's like spring fling-o-ween with Gabby Reads. So I want to participate in that, and I have one book I want to read for that weekend. It's just like the 27th to the 30th. So I just want to read just one book during that, but it will be a thicker book as well. So I'm hoping to finish this before then, so I don't have to read this as well. There's like 4 main characters in this, and Jude is the one that we follow the most, and it's his story that's very tragic and so much pain and suffering in it. And I just want to take Jude and hold him and hug him and be like, it's okay, you are worthy, you are loved, you are cared for, kind of thing. Like, I want to make him feel better. Most of my notes are about that. Just wanting to hug Jude. I have one here that only the blood of Jesus can wash us clean, because he tried all his life. I don't want to give like spoilers or anything, so I'm not going to like be super descriptive, but he tried all his life to make himself clean, but it hadn't worked because of like all this horrible, terrible stuff that's happened to him in his past as a kid. And as a kid, like, you take that abuse on yourself and you think like, I'm doing this because like this is happening to me because I've done something bad, and you feel dirty and wrong, but you think it's like your fault and you deserve it, kind of thing. I've never experienced that kind of abuse in my life. It's not something I've had to work through or anything, and I am not a counselor either. Never walked through it with anybody else, but I know like there's no way to get over that kind of deep shame, that kind of deep feeling that you are dirty. There's no way you can get through that on your own, and you do need to seek help. I say that all the time, like, get help. If you need help, get help, and you don't have to be ashamed of needing help. We all need help with things, no matter, like, even if we've lived like the most idyllic childhood and adulthood and whatever, we live in a broken world and bad things still happen, and we still need to learn how to cope with different things and stresses in our life, and we all need help. And there's this line here: there is trigger warnings for an abusive romantic relationship. And he said that he hadn't hit and hated him because he hit and hated other people. He had hit and hated him because of who he was, not because of who Caleb was. And Caleb was the abusive boyfriend. He's talking about in here, because they said that they should report Caleb because he's going to go out and hurt somebody else. Jude's argument is, no, he's not. He hurt me because I deserved it. He's not going to go hurt other people because they don't deserve it. And I said, abuse happens because of something wrong within the abuser. It is never the victim's fault. So even if you've done something to deserve it, which you haven't, but let's say you're egging on a situation and you're making that person mad, and you know you're making them mad and you're not stopping, and then that person hits you. Have you done something to antagonize the situation? Yes. Did you deserve to get hit? No. And that person is using violence in a physical way to retaliate because of something inside of them and something that they feel like they cannot control, and they need help in that situation. And then when the abuse is like really, really, really bad, and like no abuse is good, of course, but me and my husband just like yelling at each other and being mad at each other is totally different than like physically abusing one another, or years of manipulation and verbal emotional abuse. That's totally different and way more extreme. But that person who's abusing you, the abuser, they have something wrong inside of them. Like they say about bullies in school, that bully is probably being bullied at home or somewhere outside the school that we're not seeing. They are hurt and they don't know what to do about it, and they feel powerless, so they abuse other people to try and get back that power. That's such an important thing to remember for people who are victims of these abusers, that it's not your fault. It is something within them that they need to work out. So yeah, that's it so far. Hoping to read page 575. My kids come home in under an hour, so hopefully I can get to page 600. for right now. And then we have family night tonight. And we'll go out to the church and have supper and stuff. I go to the library tomorrow for story time with the baby. If he's being good, I can go upstairs to the quiet area. And if I have to nurse, I can nurse. There's chairs up there and stuff. And I can sit and read and just kind of enjoy some time out of the house. So it's a little bit dark down here because I am in my reading corner. And my husband set up these lights. Let's see if I can show you. So these starlights my husband set up around my reading corner. Easter balloon my daughter put up there. What we got from my in-laws. But yeah, it's a very warm color. But they give off enough light that I can sit down here without having the big light turned on. So it's really nice and I like it. And I never spend any time down here because it's hard to have... like bring all my stuff down. Like I got my water bottle, so I got to carry like this 800-page book. I got to carry down the baby. I got to carry down water. In this case, I brought out my phone and my tripod and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on with my hair. Yeah, so I don't spend as much time down here as I would like to. So I thought I would come and hang out in my reading corner for now and catch up on my little life reading. Ooh, I haven't had a nap yet today. Okay, seriously, my cat meowed and my video started. So I must have some kind of like voice thing set on my camera. I was not ready. I was like using my phone as like a mirror, and yeah, the meow just like set the video running. So here we are. Welcome back to my channel. Becky here to talk to you about A Little Life. This is the wrap up part of it. My other cat is sitting on my puzzle and he's gonna knock over all my pieces. What a brat. So this is Luigi. If you watch my birthday vlog back at the end of November, beginning in December, there's my tiny little kitten that I brought home. Look how big he is now. He's like 9 months old. He's gonna get mad. Ah. Anyways, we are here to talk about the ending of A Little Life. So I took the month of April to read this book. It's like 813 pages, I guess. I talked about it a lot already and my thoughts about different things. So get some coffee and have a little chat. Just can't video with animals. I don't know the last thing I talked about with this was. It goes on page... Oh, he's sitting in my puzzle box. Get out of there! I don't remember the last thing I talked about was, but I think I was around page 500 something. So still had, you know, like, I don't know, like 500 something. And so, you know, I still had like a book's worth of stuff left to read. First of all, if you don't know what this is about, A Little Life follows 4 college classmates, broke, adrift, and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition, as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, deepen over the decades, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant, enigmatic Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma, a hymn to brotherly bonds, and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. Hanya Yanagihara's stunning novel is about the families we are born into and those that we make for ourselves. So this book was depressing. It was sad. It was horrific. All the bad things like that you can think of. All the characters had some kind of trauma. I think I'm like sideways. What happens when your cat starts your video before you're ready? They didn't all have horrible upbringings, but you know, like you don't get through childhood completely unscathed. You do learn about the four men and a little bit about their growing up years and stuff, and kind of like what shaped them to this point in college. When you meet them, it follows quite a long time in their life. Like, you hear about their past, and then you go for like pretty much to the end, like, of their lives type thing. I don't know how spoilerly this will be. There's one thing that happens at the end that's just like absolutely devastating after all the other devastating stuff you've read. But it's in my garbage can now. Cats are weird. I was just afraid that he's gonna like pee in a box, like the way he turned around in the puzzle box. I was like, he's gonna pee on my puzzle. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. Like, check the trigger warnings before you go into this book, because it's just devastating. One thing, it's called A Little Life, and I was like, their little life is pretty grand compared to like my life anyways. So as I was wrapping up A Little Life, I kind of made a little joke about how their little life is like so grand compared to my life, and I just wanted to make sure that I pointed out, like, especially Jude had these like horrible things happen as a child and growing up into his like teen years and stuff like that, and the grandness of his life as an adult and how hard he worked to become a lawyer and to make the kind of money that allowed him to travel and buy the houses he did and stuff like that does not make up for the horrible childhood he had. My childhood wasn't like this perfect thing or anything, but I was not abused, and it was a lot better than what Jude had to go through. And I just wanted to point that out. Like, it doesn't matter how grand your life may seem now in the present time, it doesn't make up for horrible things that happened to you in your past. It's just a part of his life. Those two different things are both a part of the life that he had, and I just wanted to make that clear, that I wasn't saying like him having money erased the pain or made it better or made it okay. Like, they all become famous in their own ways, like artistically, like as an artist, as an actor, a lawyer, an architect, some of the other friends in there's like a doctor, just different things. And they traveled the world. They traveled to places I've never even heard of before. And I'm like, man, I wish my life was this little. I don't know what the name A Little Life means, if it's just like a saying or what it is, but I was like, it feels so grand to me. And even like the tragic things they've gone through, like, that's no little thing. It's bad. The back here, like, it says, a hymn of brotherly bonds and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. And I really liked the stories in here. There is one romance in here that is just like really precious and sweet, and really just shows these characters have gone through so much pain and tragedy and not great things when it comes to relationships. And so the fact that this relationship could form, and that the partner who hadn't been through the abuse could be loving and patient and understanding and kind, and the sacrifices that they made for each other and everything, like, it was just so precious. Just the bonds that they had as male friends was really awesome to see, because they weren't afraid always to show emotion. There was a little bit, like, the one character, Jude, has some physical disabilities that make things really difficult on him, and sometimes, like, if he's having a bad episode or something, it can be really, like, it's embarrassing to need the kind of help that he needed at the extreme level that he needed it and stuff, like, all the time, and sometimes he felt like a burden on other people. And Cat's trying to, like, attack my fish. Hey! Luigi, that's my fish. Leave him alone. We're gonna clean that fish tank this weekend. Luigi. Now he's going for it now that I took the camera off of him, of course. Like, sometimes needing the physical help that he needed was a little bit embarrassing. But they still, like, you never felt from them that he was a burden. He felt that, like, himself. That was his own mind that was telling him that. But the other guys, they're all like, no, he needs these special accommodations or whatever, and they were always willing to accommodate him and everything. And just that, Luigi, you can't have my fish. There's no room for him to climb up there. You're gonna end up in the tank. Psst. The cat is distracting me. I thought I could do this with the kids not here and it would be better, but now I got the cat came downstairs because I wasn't able to close the door behind me. I'm in the basement. I really appreciated the relationships in here. Like, the platonic male relationships I thought was really healthy and There was some messy stuff to it, and they were friends for like decades, so of course there's gonna be times when things aren't always peachy keen and happy and stuff. This book doesn't shy away from the hard stuff, of course. The overall friendship I felt was really good and powerful, and I really liked that. And there's some romantic relationships in here that are not good at all. Very, very, very bad. So of course, like, if that's a trigger for you, mental, physical, and sexual abuse, definitely look into that before picking up this book. But there's some relationships in here that are just really, really precious, and I don't even know what to say. They were just, I thought it was really well written, and they did a really good job with this. All the relationships in here, the healthy ones. And like I said, there's something that happens near the end that's just devastating and tragic that just came out of left field for me. Like, I was not expecting that in the slightest. So it was a shock, like, the whole time. I'm just thinking, like, this one person's gonna die. Like, he's gonna commit suicide. That's it. And I'm like reading and reading and reading and just waiting for this to happen. I'm like, this is gonna happen. And then something, like I said, completely out of left field happened. And I was like, wow. Like, you shocked me. And this isn't even like a mystery thriller suspense. Like, you're looking for the twists and turns. So that was good. Like, that there was, like, it was devastating and horrible. And I hate that it happened. But it was a good, like, good writing, I guess. I don't know what else to say about this. I'm gonna have to take my baby back. Let me know down below if you've read this book. I don't know what else to say about it to wrap this up, but I don't know who I would recommend this book to. There's so many trigger warnings. I don't get triggered by a lot of things, so I went into it without looking up trigger warnings, just knowing that it was, like, devastating and sad. But just abuse is the biggest one, and addiction. But abuse of every imaginable kind that you can think of is in here. And yeah, so I don't know, like, who I would recommend this to, but if you need a depressing book, this is my recommendation to you. I would have never picked this up had it not been for Booktube, but I'm glad that I read it, and now I know what people are talking about when they talk about this book. So that's good. Let me know if you read this book, if you liked it, if you're planning on never ever touching this with, like, a 10-foot pole, like, what your thoughts are on this kind of book. Have you read anything else by this author? Is it worth picking up? My cat is all over that fish tank and my baby's screaming, so I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!